Hi everyone, it's Zoe here from Living with a Sleeve. I hope you are well on this Friday morning. I just wanted to jump on today and have a quick chat about what to do if you're struggling with weight regain after your sleeve, because I know it is a common thing and sometimes people are quite worried about even when their weight loss starts to plateau or when they start to gain a little bit back. And sometimes I get comments or emails or messages saying I feel like a failure, all my old habits are starting to creep back in and I'm scared, I don't know what to do. So I just wanted to talk about that today because there are things that you can do, and I think it's really important that we start talking about it and work out a game plan. So you have some practical tips at the end of today to know where to start, okay? So the first thing first is be careful not to talk about yourself as a failure. It's okay to have setbacks. It's okay to have weight loss plateaus. That's absolutely normal. Sometimes we need to reframe our thinking around this because I think that sometimes we just beat ourselves up so much that it actually makes it worse. So it's much better if you can, first things first, really kind of think about the way you talk to yourself and be kind to yourself. Often if weight loss has slowed or weight gain has happened, there's something else going on. So sometimes it's a really busy time of year. Sometimes there might have been something happen in your life that has caused you lots of stress. There could be any number of reasons, a medical issue, and you've got to cut yourself some slack sometimes, okay? It's a bit of a fine balance between cutting yourself some slack and letting yourself get away with everything, but beating yourself up over the fact that you've gained a couple of kilos isn't going to help the situation. If you're really struggling with the mindset side of things, Glenn McIntosh from the Weight Loss Psychologist has some great resources online, and I'd really recommend you pop in there and have a look, especially if you feel like the reason for your weight gain is probably more psychological than anything else. All right, so first things first, we've reframed and we are trying to be kind to each other. We're stepping back on the journey and we're saying, okay, that happened, that was a setback, so let's move forward. So the next step is to contact your team. Often people will say to me, I didn't want to come in because I'd gained weight and I didn't want you to think that I couldn't do it, or I was worried that you would be angry with me. And I want to tell you now, we are never angry with you. Never, ever, ever, ever. And the sooner you come in to see your team, so whether that's the surgeon or the dietitian or the psychologist associated with your surgery, the sooner you come in and see us, the better things will be. That's what we're here for. And if you don't have a team, then I really recommend that you book in to see a dietitian or a psychologist that has experience with weight loss surgery. I do Skype consultations, so if you wanted to see me, that is an option too, but you just need someone. You need a support person, someone for a little bit of accountability, someone to give you some advice, someone to help you navigate that process of getting back on track. All right. Third tip is to then go back to the beginning. So maybe you're waiting to see your team. Maybe you're really not quite sure if you are ready for that yet, even though I wish that you would make an appointment right now. You can just really often, what I find when people come in and they have regained some weight is that they've just kind of moved away from those key principles of how to eat after a sleeve that we talked about in the beginning. This can happen because you get a little bit more tolerance back, you get a little bit more portion size, you're able to navigate the world of eating after a sleeve a bit more easily. Sometimes your hunger starts to come back a bit, and we sort of forget how we were eating initially after the surgery. So not the first couple of weeks, but the first maybe 3 to 12 months after surgery. So go back and remind yourself what that was like, and you could start by doing a little check. So I've got a list of questions you can ask yourself. All right. So are you eating protein at each main meal and each snack? Protein and fiber fill you up. So do you have a mix, half protein and half veggies at lunch and dinner, and protein in your other meals and snacks? Are you eating a variety of food throughout the day and the week? All right. Are you getting the nutrients that you need from your food? Are you focusing on quality? Because the quantity is not big, so is the quality there? Are you giving your body the nourishment that it needs? Are you taking 20 to 30 minutes to eat your meal, or have your meals gotten a bit quicker? All right. Are you down to the 10 or the 5-minute mark? If you're eating too fast, you're unable to tell when it's time to stop. So you might easily be eating a bit too much, or by the other token, you might be grazing throughout the day. So you're eating too much, even though there's small amounts. Adding it up over the 24 hours, you're eating more than you used to. Are you taking teaspoon-sized mouthfuls? All right. Are you taking your time? Are you chewing your food? Are you actually concentrating on your meals while you're eating? Or are you eating again when you're in front of the TV or in front of the computer at work or in the car racing around? Are you eating only when you're hungry, or has eating become a habit or a crutch, an emotional crutch for you? So if you're eating when you're not hungry, you're probably just eating more than you need, and your body's trying to tell you that you don't actually need to be eating that much. Are you drinking at least 1.5 litres of fluid a day? Right? This one is really hard after a sleeve, but it's really important because sometimes we mistake thirst for hunger, which means that then we eat more and graze more throughout the day, but we're actually thirsty. If you're tending towards especially things that are cold and slippery like ice cream, you could just be dehydrated. All right. Are you choosing calorie-free fluids throughout the day, all right? Or are you drinking things like milks or cordial or soft drink or juice? We really want to be choosing water first, but if water is too difficult for you to swallow still, then flavour it with a little bit of diet cordial or a bit of mint, a bit of lemon. Twinings have the new cold brew teas that we were talking about in the Living with a Sleeve community group the other night, and that could be an option for you too. Are you taking your supplements every day? All right, or have you sort of gotten out of the habit of that as well? If you are taking your supplements, sometimes that can just get you back into a bit of a routine where you're remembering to focus on yourself. And you know then as well that you're getting what you need from your food. Next question is, are you moving throughout the day? Okay. Has your exercise dropped off for some reason? Have you had an injury? Did you get out of the habit? It's winter here in Sydney. Has it been too cold? And make a plan then, if you have dropped off your exercise, exactly what am I going to do to move a little bit more during the day? And it doesn't mean flogging yourself at the gym, but is there a way that I can walk a little bit more on my way to work, or something along those lines that's small and it seems insignificant but will add up over time? And then, are you taking some time each day for yourself? That's my last question. Lots of people that I find regaining weight are managing family and job and everything else in life and kind of forget sometimes to look after themselves first. If you forget about yourself, then you're not going to be very able to concentrate on your meals, slow down, do your exercise, take your supplements, and it'll just feel like you're on a treadmill and kind of going from deadline to deadline. So that is a really important factor in weight gain. One other thing that I haven't actually asked about, but are you sleeping well? We know if we don't sleep well or don't sleep enough, then you're more likely to gain weight, and you're going to find it more difficult to make healthier choices during the day too. So check your sleep as well. I know that's a lot of questions, and I'm going to post a link to a blog post that I wrote with all of these questions on there. But once you have answered all of those questions, and if some of them come back as I'm not doing that, or I forgot about that, or I could do a little bit better there, then I want you to think about keeping things simple. I don't want you to change everything all at once, because if we change everything all at once, it often doesn't stick. I want you to think about choosing 1 or 2 or 3 simple things, practical things, doable things that you can do every day. All right. So it might be that this week I'm going to focus on drinking water, and that's the only thing I'm going to do. And then often what I find is if you focus on one thing like water, other things kind of start to fall into place without you even realizing. You could then also just jump on, maybe it's like, okay, I'm going to focus on having half protein and half veggies for my meals, or I'm going to focus on slowing down again, or I'm going to focus on putting my meals back in on my smaller plate or in my smaller bowl. Okay, so pick some really, really specific goals, practical goals, doable goals, and if you then use your team to help you stick to those goals. All right, we have every week in the Living with a Sleeve community group, we have a weekly challenge that we set for each other, and it just gives people a reminder of all of these types of habits, things that we should be doing every day, and brings it back to the forefront so you're thinking about it. And I find that it's a really good thing because you think about one new thing a week, and it's not overloading, it's not overbearing, but you get the opportunity to focus on those habits and help keep the weight off in the long term. So they're my top tips for getting back on track if you're struggling with weight regain. I would love to hear what works for you, if you have experienced weight regain, what some of the causes were, how you sort of started to tackle that, if you managed to start losing weight again. And as always, if you need a bit more support, you can either see me on Skype, or you could join our Living with a Sleeve community group, which is a fabulous group full of amazingly supportive people, and we're there all the time. Weekly challenges, information, live Q&A sessions. So I'll post the link to that in the comment section as well. I've just got one question from Kelly. Kelly's asked, what's the best food tracker app? Kelly, I don't actually encourage people to track food and what they eat every day. You might want to do it just maybe 1 or 2 days for a bit of awareness, but a piece of paper is enough for that. I don't make people count grams of protein or calories because I don't find it's helpful in the long run. And I'll send you a link on a post that I wrote about that and why I don't think it's helpful in the long run. If you are just tracking maybe 1 day a week or a couple of days to see what might be sort of going wrong if you are struggling with weight regain, then I would use the Easy Diet Diary. It's the most accurate from an Australian point of view, so lots of products in there. Okay, so I hope that's helpful. I will be back on next week for another live Facebook session. Feel free to share with your friends as well, and if there's anyone that you think would benefit, just tag them in a comment on the bottom. Thanks so much for joining me, everybody, and I will see you soon. Bye.